What's good, people? It's Poindexter back again. Just sitting down, chatting with you. Man, kind of getting a little, I don't want to call it cabin fever. I'm getting more bike fever. Want to get out there and actually ride. Here in the north, we don't get as nice of weather. The weather doesn't get nice as early as it does in some parts of the United States or the world, let's just even say. So it's kind of like just holding still, waiting for that first weather to break. And, with the epidemic that's going around now, everybody's in. But I am looking forward because, at least with this, I will be able to get out, ride the bike, and still be able to practice social distancing and everything. But I was just sitting back thinking, growing up in home of Harley, where motorcycles started back in like 1903, where it started, here. And some of my fondest memories growing up as a little kid, now that I think about it, motorcycles buzzing all around town. And one thing that I really always remember, and all I can really think of, is always seeing Harley Davidsons, even like, the choppers and things like that. I remember driving around and seeing motorcycle clubs and different things like that just all the way around. And I remember as a little kid being out there, and you're on your dirt bike running, and you will go past a motorcycle, or I say a motorcycle bike, a motorcycle buzzes past you, and as a little kid, you're trying to speed and just thinking about, damn, one day I would love to have a motorcycle and everything like that. Growing up, there was nobody in my family that owned a motorcycle. So, I didn't get my love or passion for motorcycles from anyone in my family. And actually, I didn't even get into motorcycle riding until probably my early 20s. Don't want to give my age away, but do some math. But in my early 20s, started out sports bikes. And back then, people in your 20s, you really weren't. I didn't have a Harley Davidson, or that was not something that I was thinking about. It was always sports bikes. My first motorcycle was a Suzuki RF 600R, red. Loved it. And, rode sports bikes for a while. I almost got into the mind frame like Harley Davidsons were for old people. I think that's how it was, or that's the kind of what was given off. You saw Harley Davidson, especially your baggers. It was always older people riding, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not old. They're slow and everything. They're for cruising, and I think that's one thing why I fell in love with sports bikes. Get the adrenaline and things like that, and just fell in love with it. And I had that bike for a long time. Then I had kids, so kind of stepped away from it. But after a while of not having a bike, that bug came back and had me a Ninja. Rode the Ninja Black 636, loved it. It was fast. It handled well for it, and just really enjoyed it. And I think I said before, in my previous video, it just got to the point where your body starts talking to you and you want more of a comfortable ride. And the shift is actually kind of taking place in the motorcycle world. So you start seeing a lot of individuals that are a lot younger. They're in their 20s and things like that. They're getting into Harley Davidsons at a lot younger age. And maybe it's, some of those had the influence of Harley Davidsons from family members and things like that. But now you start seeing the shift. Baggers and things like that were kind of something, you saw baby boomers and things like that. But now that they're getting older, and my generation, even some, generations before me, we're starting to be the big boys on the scene and things like that. And you're starting to see a lot of the individuals, again, my age and younger, having the baggers, your street glides, your road kings, and all other type of models, your now Kawasaki baggers, your cruisers, Yamaha, BMWs, just everybody's in it, and you just starting to see a lot younger individuals that are appreciating it. And another thing that I think that is starting to be ushered in, there's always a smaller, probably population or a group of people that had built bikes that were cruisers in, that were baggers and different things like that. But now I think you're starting to see it more prevalent that people are buying these, but you're getting the built engines. Harley now you can get the 131, the new motor that was released into. So it's about the performance bagger and things like that. You want a bike that it's comfortable, but it handles well. People are upgrading their suspension on the bikes. They're putting bigger bigger bores, larger cams, and things like that. And people just have that hunger and want to be able to have the best of both worlds. You can't always have, I guess, quote unquote, the best of both worlds, because I don't feel that you're going to be able to have a bagger that's going to be able to handle as well or better than some of your sports bikes. But what you can achieve now with technology, it's great. And growing up, I never really saw that. I remember bikes, baggers and cruisers. They have all the lights and things on the bikes. They'd have I can't remember the name of them, but they used to have the I guess it's more like mags, but the mags that hung on the back of the bikes and things like that. I remember looking back, you had your choppers and things like that with the long neck on them, and you had the apes and all of that running around town. Just some of my fondest memories. But I kind of put it up against a lot of other cities. Our history in Milwaukee, when it comes to motorcycles, it runs deep. And yes, we are again home of the Harley and things like that. But the passion that I see for motorcycles around here, I'd almost say it's hard for any other city to be able to match what we have here. We have a smaller fraction or percentage of the year to actually ride, but during that time period that we are riding, this city is almost taken over by bikes, and it's a beautiful thing. And now that I'm older, how I appreciate it. I remember when I was riding sports bikes, when the anniversaries and will come to town. You had 105th and all those type of things. And even before then, I would try to get away from it. I was almost like an anti-Harley type thing. I think that's one reason why I really got into sports bikes and everything like that. But when you can see a city taken over by Harleys or bikes in general, because I don't want to be just biased towards that, because I love all bikes of all sorts. But when you have a week of celebrate and it's almost like the entire state is taken over. I know you have like your Daytonas down in Florida. You have your Black Bike Weeks down in Myrtle and everything like that. But I think that I've never been to them, but it's more of an area that's taken over. When you see a state that's taken over, when you have people that are wanting to participate in the rallies and things like that, where they're staying down in Illinois and take their trip, make a 90-mile trip up to this city just to participate and to be around bikes and to celebrate for a week. And you see that even areas that generally don't have tons of motorcycle traffic here, and during that time, when you see those areas almost taken over with your Airbnbs. Airbnbs weren't around in the real earlier days, but when you have your Airbnbs, you just see bikes parked out in neighborhoods, and you just know it's a different feeling. You can hear the rumble of the motorcycles, or hear motorcycle engines from like miles away, that it's so loud. That's a different type of feeling that I don't think that you're going to get in any other type of city like that. So now I appreciate being part of it. I really appreciate it, and like I say, I don't think that. And correct me if I'm wrong, chime in. But I don't know if anyone that has possibly been around for like the anniversaries here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and then have gone to your other type of Daytonas and things like that. I'd be interested to see like what's the difference, when it comes to people, riders being around. Is the feeling just the same? Here, every bar you go past and things like that are just bikes taking up the entire parking lot, or you have to have special parking for that. Or like when you go to our downtown area, when they have just special parking for bikes. We have Summerfest here, one of the largest music festival that goes on in the summertime in actually the world, and where parking is just hard to find. That, well, you're better off taking a Uber or Lyft if you're bringing a car. But if you have motorcycles, you'll find that, just like when you go to any large event, like we go to arenas and we know how, our baseball park, we know how big those parking lots are. Just imagine that just engulfed with motorcycles, and just for miles and miles and miles, where some people even have to park their motorcycles so far away that they have to Uber or take a taxi or a Lyft just to get there. That's a feeling like no other. There's tons of events going on all throughout the state, all the different Harley dealerships and things like that. It's just a different type of feeling. And I'm just really starting to, I guess, appreciate that and not take that for granted. So, again, like to hear from y'all. Chime in. For those that might have visited different venues and things like that and have actually experienced, rally week and things like that when it's here in Milwaukee. Just kind of want to hear the comparison and what you guys think. So, but I'm not going to hold y'all for long. I'm going to get out of here, try to fight this bike fever, do some things to the bike. But until next time, it's Poindexter. Talk to you later.
Boy, pop like boy, dance like boy, vibe like boy, shine like boy, black like boy.
Look, I got that walk it, how I talk it vibe. She can see it in my eyes, vibes. She say that she not impressed.